The wedding invitation arrived in embossed gold foil, the kind that announced expensive taste before you even opened the envelope. Preston and Genevieve Morrison request the honor of your presence. My cousin Preston was marrying into the Hartford family. Old money, older attitudes, and the kind of connections that opened doors most people didn't know existed. I almost skipped it. Preston and I had been close as kids, back before he'd traded authenticity for ambition and decided success meant climbing social ladders. But he was still family, so I RSVP'd yes and bought a tasteful gift from their registry. The ceremony was at the Hartford estate, 300 guests on white chairs overlooking manicured gardens that probably required a full-time staff. I wore a navy dress selected to be elegant but invisible, sitting in the back row. The goal was simple: get through the weekend without incident. That plan lasted 45 minutes into the reception. Natalie. My Aunt Diane found me near the entrance to the massive reception tent, her voice carrying that forced cheerfulness that meant trouble. There you are. We have a tiny situation with the bar staff. What kind of situation? One of the bartenders called in sick last minute and were completely overwhelmed. Preston specifically ordered premium service, top shelf everything. We can't have guests waiting. She looked me up and down, assessing. You work in beverage distribution, right? You must know how to pour drinks. I work in the spirits industry, but... Perfect. Could you help out for an hour? Just until things calm down. You'd be saving the day. Before I could protest, Preston appeared with his bride Genevieve, both flushed with champagne and self-importance. Nat. Mom says you can help with the bar. Preston grinned, that careless smile from childhood now edged with something harder. Make yourself useful behind the bar, yeah? We're paying a fortune for this booze. Might as well have someone who knows their way around bottles. Preston, I'm a guest at your wedding. Come on, don't be difficult. It's just for a bit. Besides, you're always saying you work with alcohol. This is basically what you do, right? He was already walking away, Genevieve's arm linked through his. Aunt Diane looked at me expectantly. It would really help. And honestly, you don't know most of these guests anyway. You'd probably be more comfortable having something to do. The implication stung but wasn't surprising. I didn't belong with the Hartford crowd. Better to be useful than awkwardly standing around. I swallowed my pride and headed to the bar. The setup was impressive. 3 bartenders working frantically behind a massive display of premium spirits. And there, featured prominently in the center, were 6 cases of Aurelius champagne. My champagne. The brand I'd built from nothing over 8 years. Thank God, one of the bartenders said when I appeared. They said someone was coming to help. Derek. That's Amanda and Jose. We're drowning. Natalie. What do you need? Just pour champagne. Everyone wants the Aurelius. It's all they're talking about. Apparently it's incredibly exclusive. I knew exactly how exclusive it was. Aurelius was my company, my brand that I'd launched at 24 with student loans and a business plan that everyone said was impossible. 8 years of negotiating with French vineyards, building distribution networks, convincing retailers to take chances on an unknown label. 8 years of 18-hour days and learning every aspect of the spirits industry from the ground up. Now Aurelius was distributed in 43 states, served in Michelin-starred restaurants, and had won 6 international awards. Our flagship champagne retailed for $300 per bottle. Last year we did $12 million in revenue. And my family thought I was a bartender. The Aurelius is amazing, Amanda said, opening another bottle. I looked it up. This stuff is serious. The bride's family must have serious connections. It's almost impossible to get. Is it? I said mildly, pouring flutes with practiced efficiency. Oh yeah. The distributor is super selective. You basically have to be someone important. She lowered her voice. Between you and me, I think they're showing off. They've announced to everyone that they're serving Aurelius. Like, we get it, you're rich. For the next hour, I poured my own champagne while guests bragged about drinking it. Preston's new father-in-law, Richard Hartford, held court near the bar, explaining his connections that had secured the Aurelius allocation. It's about knowing the right people, he said loudly. The Aurelius distributor doesn't sell to just anyone. I had to call in a favor. But for Genevieve's wedding, only the best. A favor. I knew exactly how the Hartfords had gotten their Aurelius. They'd applied through normal channels 3 months ago, Been approved by my sales team and paid full retail price. No favors, no connections. Just a credit card and a shipping address. Natalie, more champagne from storage. Derek called. I found Aunt Diane near the storage area. I need the key. Oh, right. He handed it over, then paused. You're doing great, by the way. I knew you'd be good at this with your background. My background? Working in beverage service. It's wonderful you found your niche. She patted my arm and left before I could correct her. In storage, I found 12 more cases of Aurelius. Cases bearing my company's logo, my signature on authentication certificates, distribution codes tracing back to my warehouse in Napa. I photographed the serial numbers and texted my distribution manager, Kim. Check these codes. Who approved the Hartford sale? 2 minutes later. That was the New York order from March. Standard retail. But they're serving it at a wedding, claiming special connections. The bride's family is acting like they pulled strings. They paid full price plus shipping. Want the invoice receipt? I stared at my phone in idea forming. Petty, vindictive, absolutely perfect. What's our policy on unauthorized commercial use? Retail purchases are for personal use. Commercial use or implied brand endorsement is a violation. But they've announced to 300 guests they're serving Aurelius. The father keeps talking about his connections to the distributor. That implies endorsement. That's absolutely a violation. Want to cease and desist? I thought about Preston's dismissive, make yourself useful. About Aunt Diane assuming I was a bartender. About 8 years building something extraordinary while my family remained unimpressed because I didn't fit their definition of success. Better idea. How fast can you freeze their account and recall authorization? 30 seconds. But Natalie, that's nuclear. You sure? Do it. And prepare a statement about unauthorized use for press inquiries. Done. Account frozen. You're terrifying sometimes. I'm learning. I carried cases back to the bar. Derek, Amanda, and Jose were still pouring steadily, Aurelius flowing as guests toasted Preston and Genevieve's future. Best champagne I've ever had, one guest gushed. How did you even get this? I heard it's impossible to find. Richard Hartford appeared. We have connections to the distributor. The owner is very selective, but we've built a relationship over years. A relationship. With me. The owner standing 3 feet away in a bartender's apron. That's fascinating, I said. Tell me about this relationship with the owner. Richard barely glanced at me. It's confidential. Trade secrets. But in our circles, doors open that remain closed to others. He turned away, dismissing me entirely. I called Kim directly, stepping away from the bar. Talk me through what happens next. Their account is frozen. Anyone verifying their authorization will find it revoked. If they order more, they'll be flagged. And if this becomes public, if they keep claiming connections while serving recalled product, we can issue a statement clarifying they have no relationship with the brand and are violating terms of service. What about champagne currently being served? They bought it retail, so they own it. But they bought it for personal use, not commercial use at a 300-person wedding. Using it commercially while making false brand claims violated the purchase agreement. So we could demand they stop serving immediately. Yes. But that's incredibly dramatic. Kim, they made me work as a bartender at my cousin's wedding because they think I'm nobody. My aunt thinks I pour drinks for a living. Preston ordered me to make myself useful. Meanwhile, they're serving my champagne and bragging about connections they don't have. Long pause. When you put it that way, how dramatic do you want? I want them to remember this wedding forever. Give me 30 minutes. I'll draft official notice and send it to the wedding planner. The notice will state Aurelius' authorization has been revoked due to terms violations and service must cease immediately. Alternative beverages or face legal action for trademark misuse. Perfect. You're my hero right now. I returned to the bar. Preston was there with groomsmen, all holding Aurelius. Nat, more champagne. This stuff is incredible. The bartending is fun for you. Much better than standing around awkwardly. Preston, do you know anything about what I actually do? He laughed. Sure. Some beverage company, right? Distribution or something. I've never totally understood it, but that's okay. Not everyone can work in finance. Someone's got to handle logistics. He clinked glasses with his friend. No judgment. The world needs all kinds. The world needs all kinds, I repeated. Generous of you. We're family. I don't care that you never made it big. You seem happy. He drained his glass and held it out. Refill. I took it. Actually, there's something you should know about this champagne. It's amazing, right? Genevieve's dad got it through connections. Cost a fortune. It's Aurelius. $300 a bottle. You're serving $18,000 worth tonight. Worth every penny. This is quality you serve to impress people. Not that you'd know, but... His phone buzzed. He frowned. Weird. The wedding planner is freaking out. Across the tent, Margaret the wedding planner was staring at her phone in horror, speed walking toward Richard Hartford, her expression panicked. Preston, I said quietly, I need to tell you something. But he wasn't listening. Richard had gone pale, gesturing wildly. Genevieve appeared, her composure cracking. Aunt Diane rushed over, voice rising. Derek touched my arm. We got a message from the event company. Something about champagne being recalled. We have to stop serving immediately. I know, I said. You know. How? He stopped, looking at me carefully. Really looking. What's your name again? Natalie. Natalie Chin. His eyes widened. As in, Aurelius is Chin Spirits Company. You're not. I'm the owner and founder, yes. Holy shit, Amanda breathed. You own Aurelius? And they made you work the bar. Jose started laughing. Best wedding ever. Preston walked back over Richard Hartford trailing, looking apoplectic. Natalie, Richard said tightly, there's confusion. We received notice claiming our authorization to serve Aurelius has been revoked. Obviously a mistake. Contact your supervisor immediately and clear this up. My supervisor? Yes. Whoever handles distribution. This is an error. We paid for this champagne. I untied the apron slowly, deliberately. Mr. Hartford, there's no error. I am the distribution supervisor. I'm also the owner, founder, and CEO of Chin Spirits Company, which produces Aurelius champagne. Color drained from his face. You purchased our champagne retail for personal use. That's fine. What's not fine is using it commercially at a 300-person event and repeatedly claiming special connections with the distributor. Me, when no such relationship exists. You paid full retail 3 months ago like any customer. Your claims constitute false endorsement, violating our terms of service. Preston stared at me. You own Aurelius? I built Aurelius from scratch 8 years ago. 12 million in revenue last year. Distributed internationally. 6 major awards. 43 employees. And for the past hour, I've been pouring my own champagne while my family assumed I was a bartender. But you said beverage distribution. I distribute my own products through my own company. You heard what you wanted and never asked for details. Aunt Diane appeared, flushed. Natalie, this is ridiculous. You can't shut down your cousin's wedding. I'm not shutting down the wedding. I'm revoking authorization to serve my brand after you violated purchase terms. Serve any other champagne. Just not mine. Richard scrolled frantically. This can't be legal. You paid for personal use. Your agreement prohibits commercial use or false brand claims. Both of which you've done extensively. My legal team documented 37 instances of you claiming special Aurelius connections in the last hour. 37. Genevieve's voice was small. We track brand mentions at major events. Social media is useful. Your guests have been posting about exclusive Aurelius and Hartford special connections for 2 hours. Each post is potential trademark violation. Margaret stepped forward. Miss Chin, what would resolve this? The toast is in 20 minutes. I considered. Preston stood frozen, confidence evaporated. Richard looked like he wanted to disappear. Aunt Diane was speechless. Here's what happens. Finish serving what's poured. Don't open another Aurelius bottle. Don't mention the brand again tonight. At the toast, someone clarifies that champagne was purchased at standard retail with no special connections. Be honest. That's humiliating, Richard sputtered. Not as humiliating as being sued for trademark violation and false endorsement. Those are my terms. Accept them or my legal team sends cease and desist to every guest who posted about Aurelius tonight. Preston found his voice. Nat, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked. You saw me in spirits and assumed I worked for someone else. It never occurred to you I'd built something myself. I looked at their shocked faces. For 8 years I've built a multimillion-dollar company. Won international awards. Been featured in Wine Spectator and Forbes. Not one of you asked for details because you'd decided I was unsuccessful. We're proud, Aunt Diane started. Are you? Or scrambling because I have power you didn't know about? I shook my head. Enjoy your wedding, Preston. I'll send Aurelis as a gift, with an invoice for tonight's commercial use fees. Family discount, of course. I walked out, leaving Derek, Amanda, and Jose staring in awe. My phone buzzed. Kim, please tell me you did it. I did. They're switching champagne for the toast. You're my hero. Also, we're trending on Twitter. #Aurelis wedding is blowing up. Of course it is. I drove home, changed, and poured myself Aurelis from my personal reserve. The vintage blend we didn't release publicly. Next morning my phone exploded. Preston apologizing. Aunt Diane claiming she'd always known I'd succeed. 3 interview requests from business publications. And 1 message from Richard Hartford's lawyer requesting settlement terms. I forwarded it to my legal team. Standard commercial licensing fee plus 20% penalty for false endorsement. No family discount. Kim called within an hour, laughing. Natalie, the story went viral. Sales up 40%. Inquiries from distributors in 6 new countries. That wedding disaster was our best marketing ever. Unintentional marketing, I said. But I'll take it. Also, Hartford's lawyer is arguing family events should be personal use. Send them documentation of his 37 false endorsement claims. They went quiet after that. 3 weeks later, Thanksgiving invitation arrived. Mom had called 6 times. Please come. We want to celebrate your success. I almost declined. But I thought about Preston's face. About Richard Hartford's crumbling confidence. About 8 years of being underestimated. I went. And when they asked what I wanted to drink, I smiled. Anything but champagne. I get enough at work. They laughed nervously, still unsure how to handle me. I didn't care. I'd spent 8 years building something extraordinary while they thought I poured drinks. Turned out I did. My own drinks. From my own company. Worth millions. Some lessons you learn by being underestimated. And some families learn when they discover the bartender owns the bar.